on Daybreak, and with all of the recent talk of tariffs, this morning we're looking back at a president with a Western New York connection whose policies are coming back into play 135 years later.
In fact, in his inaugural address, President Donald Trump compared himself to former President William McKinley.
Like so many other things when it comes to politics,
long term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
Why would you want to get in a fight with your allies over this?
They will raise costs for you.
Today's talk about tariffs.
From a historian's perspective, it's deja vu all over again, isn't it?
I was the last person to think that McKinley was going to somehow resurrect as a current events topic, but here we are.
In 1890, then Congressman William McKinley drove home the Congressional Tariff Act.
At least from a historical perspective, it comes with the benefit of hindsight. So while we can't necessarily say with absolute certainty what would happen if we did all of these things now, I can tell you with absolute certainty what happened then. And so I think there's a valuable lesson to be learned there.
The future president pushed the protective tariffs so hard, they were quickly nicknamed the McKinley tariffs.
McKinley actually was somebody who wanted to corner and make a reputation for himself in Congress. And the way in which he did this was by becoming the definitive expert on tariffs.
The act increased the cost of many common goods, including wool, metals, and even food products. And immediately, the cost of importing these goods increased, and that cost was passed on to consumers.
It's so enormously unpopular once it's enacted that in the subsequent months, the midterm election, the Republican Party lost 93 seats, and McKinley himself lost his own seat.
McKinley was obviously able to rebound politically as he was elected in 1896 as our nation's 25th president. Buffalo City historian Lindsay Lauren Visser also points out that while you can draw some comparisons, other factors are vastly different. And she adds the long-term impact of the McKinley tariffs was not all negative.
And I think it's also worth pointing out that 130 years ago, international commerce was very different than it is today. The short answer is American industry was able to grow during that time. Obviously, the protective tariff is a tax on imported foreign goods in an effort to allow the American industries to have a competitive advantage on the home field, if you will.
Yeah, it's still too early to tell if the president will even follow through with some of these proposed tariffs or how successful they'll be long term. But another comparison being drawn between the two. McKinley added Hawaii, Guam, and the Philippines, along with Puerto Rico, to U.S. territory. And of course, President Trump talking about annexing Canada, Greenland, and assuming control of the Panama Canal. So what's old is new again, I guess, right?
Interesting historical perspective. All right, coming up next.